pair of long, pale legs, each nearly 2 meters in length, suddenly appeared. Trapped inside the car, the woman trembled with fear. The bullets in her gun were running low, and all around her was nothing but darkness. The monstrous creatures, lurking in the night, could launch a deadly attack at any moment. Despair surged through her as she recalled the events of the day. Regret overwhelmed her. Her name was Juliet. Due to a cataclysm 10 years ago, the world had turned into a wasteland. With only a handful of survivors remaining, Juliet was fortunate to join a survivor group, where her daily task was scavenging scattered supplies. Not only did she have to stay vigilant against other survivors, but she also had to guard against the ever-present biomutants. According to the organization's rules, encountering biomutants meant immediate retreat, as their brutality was beyond human capability to withstand. It seemed Juliet was destined to return empty-handed that day. However, just as she was about to take a shortcut home, she stumbled upon a broken-down RV. Blood was splattered around the vehicle, and its owner sat nearby, barely alive. It was evident he had fallen victim to a biomutant attack. The owner weakly warned her that a biomutant was locked inside the RV, but he regretted not being able to enjoy the dozen or so canned goods still inside. Juliet hesitated. Those supplies were invaluable in the apocalypse. They were worth the risk. Taking a deep breath, she unlocked the door. The next moment, a fierce struggle erupted inside. Before long, Juliet had successfully killed the biomutant. Unfortunately, the RV owner had succumbed to blood loss. The canned goods now belonged to her. By then, the sun had already set. Juliet had to return to camp before nightfall. Perhaps in a good mood, she glanced at a family photo on the RV's window. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew it away. Instinctively, she swerved to catch it. The car lost control, flipped, and rolled off the roadside. When she regained consciousness, she found her right foot trapped under the steering wheel. Darkness surrounded her, with only the dim glow of the headlights piercing through. She hadn't expected to be unconscious for so long. Spending a night alone in the wild was extremely dangerous. She reached for the radio to call for help, but no matter how many times she pressed the button, there was no response. Staying put was not an option. Scanning her surroundings, she spotted her handgun lying not far away. She grabbed the metal hook and attempted to retrieve the gun, but at the critical moment, the wire snapped. Realizing that wasn't going to work, Juliet took a deep breath, focused, and gritted her teeth. With sheer willpower, she wrenched her injured leg free from the steering wheel. Agonizing pain shot through her, but she didn't dare scream. Hurriedly, she removed her jacket and poured high-proof alcohol over the wound for disinfection. The searing pain was nearly unbearable, yet she clenched her teeth and pressed down firmly, forcing the fractured bone back into place. A cry of anguish echoed through the wasteland. Despite the excruciating ordeal, the pain was worth it. Dragging herself forward, she located a fresh battery. After preparing the radio, she quickly called for help, but there was still no response. Just then, a bone-chilling growl sounded outside. Turning her head sharply, Juliet saw the silhouette of a biomutant approaching. Instinctively, she grabbed her handgun. The creature drew nearer. Juliet shrank back inside the vehicle, gripping the gun tightly, holding her breath. Fortunately, the monster hadn't noticed her presence. At that moment, the radio crackled to life. The unexpected noise was like a burning coal in her hands. Without hesitation, she hurled the device outside. The distraction worked, diverting the creature's attention. However, she had also thrown away her best chance of summoning help. As the biomutant slowly wandered off, Juliet let out a long sigh of relief. Yet, with only a few bullets remaining, she couldn't afford to let her guard down. Rummaging through the glove compartment, she found a flashlight and a few signal flares. An idea struck her. She tossed a few flares outside, using the light to locate the discarded radio. As soon as she retrieved the device, a sudden noise came from behind her. She picked up a flare, trying to locate the source. To her horror, the biomutant was crouched on the roof of the car. Juliet fired a shot and quickly scrambled back into the driver's seat. At least here, she wouldn't have to worry about being attacked from behind. Gun raised, she fixed her gaze on the entrance. Suddenly, a grotesque arm tore through the safety net. Juliet recoiled, but the monster managed to grab her leg. In a panic, she started the car and slammed the accelerator. The creature let out a guttural scream as the rolling tires crushed it back. She had survived another attack. Peering outside to check the situation, she didn't expect the biomutant to sneak in from behind. Juliet fired repeatedly, finally driving the creature away. After waiting in tense silence, she reassembled the radio and finally made contact with her team. Unfortunately, she had no idea of her exact location. Her teammates instructed her to activate the vehicle's GPS. The radio signal was unstable, so Juliet hung up and manually turned on the tracker. A sense of relief washed over her. Now all she had to do was wait for rescue. As she secured a metal plate over the window, a monstrous face suddenly pressed against it. The creature was trying to break in. Juliet braced her foot against the steel barrier, holding it in place. She had no idea how long the standoff lasted, But eventually, the creature howled in pain and retreated. However, she knew it hadn't gone far. The sound of footsteps continued to echo around her. Juliet gripped her gun tightly, heart pounding. Suddenly, the car shook violently. The monster was searching for a way in. Her nerves were stretched to their limit. For the first time, she considered giving up. Just then, the radio crackled again. It was her team. Relief surged through her as they confirmed they had received her coordinates and were on their way. However, they soon realized the noise around her. Learning that a biomutant was nearby, they warned Juliet to use bright light, one of the few weaknesses of these creatures. She immediately switched on the car's high beams. The biomutant let out a blood-curdling screech and quickly disappeared. As silence returned, Juliet asked how long it would take for them to arrive. The answer stunned her. They wouldn't come before dawn. According to protocol, no one was allowed to approach biomutant territory at night. Juliet exploded in anger, cursing them for using cowardice as an excuse. Without another word, her teammate hung up. Her heart plummeted. There was no way she could survive until dawn. Suddenly, the roar of an engine sounded outside. Juliet honked the horn desperately. Soon, a vehicle pulled up. But it wasn't her rescue, it was a group of bandits. She fought back with everything she had, struggling against them. Just as the fight reached a stalemate, the biomutant suddenly reappeared, dragging one of the bandits out and crushing his skull with a single stomp. Juliet watched in stunned silence. She knew this safety was only temporary. Once the biomutant finished its meal, it would come for her next. Thinking of the team that had abandoned her, she slowly raised her gun. She would rather die than become a monster's prey. As death loomed, memories of happier times flooded her mind. The scene shifted back to the days before the catastrophe. At an art exhibition, Juliet had unexpectedly met a charming man. His name was Owen, and he was the host of the event. To secure a date with Juliet, he had ended the exhibition early. Their conversation flowed effortlessly. Before she knew it, Juliet had found herself at Owen's home. But just as things were about to progress further, she suddenly bolted like a startled mouse. Owen was utterly puzzled, so he quietly followed behind her. That was how he discovered that Juliet was a woman living on the fringes of society, trapped in a world of vice and addiction. Aware that she was unworthy of Owen, Juliet decisively cut off any possibility of further involvement between them. Yet instead of turning away in disgust, Owen responded with remarkable patience and kindness. With his tenderness and compassion, he melted the barriers around her long-frozen heart, rekindling in her a sense of hope for life. But their happiness was short-lived. A sudden wave of biochemical attack swept across the world, and Owen was severely injured in an explosion. The next time Juliet saw him, he was lying in a hospital bed, barely clinging to life. Even in such a state, he summoned his last ounce of strength to scrawl a few words onto his drawing board.
I love you. Never give up.
Tears streamed down Juliet's face in silence. She could only nod firmly in response. It was that promise that kept her fighting for survival in the post-apocalyptic world. Remembering this, she slowly lowered her gun, even for the sake of her fallen lover. Juliet was determined to stake everything on one last fight. She pulled out a flare, grabbed a canister of gasoline, and climbed out of the car. After selecting a spot, she poured out most of the fuel and then ignited the flare. Before long, the monstrous creature was drawn to the flickering flames, emerging from the darkness. Juliet steadied her breath, stepping back cautiously. As soon as the creature neared the fuel canister, she pulled the trigger without hesitation. A column of fire roared into the sky, but the monster was too fast. It dodged the explosion and, in the next instant, flanked Juliet from behind. With a series of brutal strikes, it sent her crashing to the ground. Just as it closed in for the kill, Juliet seized the moment and fired. The gunshots rang out in rapid succession, and the creature collapsed in agony. Relieved, Juliet's eyelids grew heavy, and she gradually lost consciousness. As dawn broke, she awoke from her stupor only to find that the biomutant was still alive. Instinctively, she raised her gun to shoot, only to realize she was out of bullets. Trembling, she thought she was as good as dead. But to her shock, the creature did not attack. Instead, it gently brushed against her cheek. Juliet was thunderstruck. In that moment, she realized that the being lying before her was not a monster. It was Owen. She would never forget the tenderness he once showed her. And now, it all made sense why, the night before, he had persistently tried to get inside her car but never actually attacked. And why, when faced with raiders who sought to harm her, he had shown such savage brutality. Owen had been silently protecting her all along. In the golden light of sunrise, the two embraced tightly, sharing a warmth they had long been deprived of. Perhaps Owen had been right all along. Every encounter in life happens for a reason. Fate may have decreed that they could not be together in the end, but his love for her was unwavering, even beyond death. Now, the heavens had granted them a second chance. This time, Juliet would not let it slip away. They would never be separated again. In this life or the next. This concludes the entirety of the French film Hostel. The director skillfully interweaves flashbacks using a montage technique, alternating between memories of the past and a desolate post-apocalyptic present, preserving the film's sense of mystery. Each flashback offers only fragments of information about the world's downfall, slowly piecing together the truth by the end. For fans of the genre, this film is highly recommended. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Drami. See you in the next video. Bye.